Okay. Hello, my name is Shauna Mizik, and this is my introductory video for my two channels. So, how should I begin this? These two channels are very experimental. What I'm trying to do here on one channel is share my process, my research process, the things that I want to talk about, explore in my creative journey through the mediums of writing and different artistry methods. It's a way for me to express myself creatively again. And my other channel, I Have Questions, that is pretty self explanatory. I have questions, and it's about heavy topics. You've heard them before from many other channels out there on YouTube, many other YouTubers. I'm just a regular Canadian citizen with similar concerns about Canadian society, the things that are happening in the world, how we're all affected by it, and I'm also quite introverted, not extroverted. I'm introverted. So I don't really like putting myself out there. I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone. But more and more, as things continue to change around me and I have to adapt, I can't ignore the things that I am surrounded by. My ever changing environment. I find more and more I have to adapt. And as I adapt, I have to put myself out there. It's it's not fun. It's really not fun being as introverted as I am. I'm the type of person who would rather help, the spokesperson stand up there with the right information, be prepared, as opposed to being the spokesperson. So I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone, and even more so, it's scary because people today are being judged for their opinions. And even if they're just asking a question because they don't know something, they're confused, they feel like they're persecuted by it. I will be showcasing many examples of this as I question things and try to find the answers. I will be exploring topics in particular that I feel I'm being affected by or could affect me in the future, as well as family, community, friends, etc. More and more, how this world is becoming more connected and more global. We can't really ignore these concerns. And being afraid of being seen as some kind of bad person, negative person who means to do wrong. I can't let that silence me. I've been in that kind of environment before when I was younger. I'll be speaking on some of that as well, and I refuse to go back to that. So that is why I am being so open. That's why I'm forcing myself to basically come out of the shadows. What else? I don't like sharing a lot of my personal business, but I feel I'll have to give some of my own personal backstory so that people have a better idea of where I'm coming from as I discuss these things. My my goal with my one YouTube channel is, well, both of them. They're both connected in a way where one is I'm sharing my creative process as I create this story on the Kindwrite. The other one is where I want to be able to communicate more with individuals, people within my community. I'm a Regina, Saskatchewan citizen in Canada, and I want to interact with people and debate with people, communicate with people, you know, not solely based on emotion, but with critical thinking. I'm also a current student at the University of Regina, and from the few conversations that I've had with individuals, there's definitely this fear of speaking out for fear of being persecuted, judged, having their whole lives destroyed, career opportunities completely taken away from them, ostracized from society, blacklisted. More and more, I can't ignore this. It's happening. And I'll be speaking in further detail about these things. So, yeah, stay tuned. I just want to finish this off with stating I am speaking about these things with the hope of connection, communication, trying to find solutions. We can't find solutions for the problems unless we start with conversation, interaction, communicating our concerns, the things that are on our mind. We can't be afraid of getting things wrong, if we're ignorant about something. To me, there's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance is just when you don't know something, but you can learn about it and become knowledgeable. Stupidity is when the knowledge is right there and you have the opportunity to learn about it, but you just ignore it for whatever reasons. I think remaining in the dark like that, it might seem comforting to you, and it might seem like you're protecting yourself, but based off of my personal experiences, I've learned you're just running away from the inevitable crash out. I've had to deal with many changes in my life, many situations that I had to adapt to. And in my earlier life, as a child, early 20s, there were a lot of instances where I stayed silent and thought, even through advice from others, that if I just stayed silent, kept my head down, it'll pass. And then I could go on with my life. Little did I know, the problems only got worse. I had a few instances where I would just explode from all the built up emotion. My mental and my physical health ended up deteriorating, and now I'm forced to deal with it as it's gotten to a more difficult point of dealing with it, basically. I'm vague a little bit on purpose because I don't want to give too many details about my personal life out there, especially with certain interactions with other individuals, privacy reasons. But I still will dig on some personal aspects just after some serious editing. And then I'll bring that up. And I feel like it's necessary, I've said this before, but I'll say it again, in order for people to have an understanding of where I'm coming from. And so that they can't just accuse me of being this or that. No, this is the background behind it. Let's see what else. This is not an attack on anybody. This is trying to find a way to communicate so that people are on the same page, are in understanding of how we think. Because I feel like most of us, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, and that's to live our lives, and live our lives in a peaceful place, For the most part, a good majority of us, we want that. However, we go about that based off of the information that we have, what we seem to know, and what we perceive the world to be like, how things are, etc. Especially with politics being the way that it is and people being segregated and tribal, more and more just separated into different groupings and not coming together. It's like we don't realize that we're being manipulated as chess pieces, or we do to an extent, but we're just not being honest with ourselves. It's like we like to think of ourselves as the Neo in Matrix, you know, finding out the truth, getting out of the Matrix, seeing the real world. But then it turns out that we're actually like that other dude. I can't remember his name, but he's got like a crush on Neo's girlfriend, and he really wants to be able to eat fake steak. That's what I remember. I can't remember his name at the top of my head. Well-known actor. But the point being, he puts himself back in the Matrix and is willing to believe in a lie for the comfort of living an ignorant life. And that's at the expense of all of his comrades that he ends up, exiting out. This is going to be difficult. I personally have a bit of a Monty Python-esque sense of humor. I can get pretty dark, and I'm going to have to censor myself. I'm not a heavy swearer, but I do like to swear for the emphasis of the emotion. So, having to censor myself the way that YouTube insists that I do so in order to allow my videos to be out there without too much editing. Ugh, I'm not looking forward to that. But there are topics that are hitting pretty close to home, and I really can't ignore it. So this is all very experimental. I'll say that again. I probably repeated myself a few times, but just in case you missed what I said before, I'm just gonna bring it up again. But I feel like it's necessary. Yeah, I feel like it's necessary. So look forward to all those fun topics that you probably heard time and time again from other YouTubers. Maybe I'll bring in a fresh perspective. Maybe this channel won't pop off. A big hope is that I can just, get the word out and get the word out to as many people who haven't yet seen it or still haven't felt a confirmation that it's okay to have an opinion that differs from somebody else's. Okay, we don't all have to think exactly alike. We're human beings, and we have different cultures on this planet, different experiences. I mean, look at me. I'm a mixed person, and no mixed person is exactly the same. I mean, it depends on what you're mixed with, which parent is of which culture, which culture are you dominantly within? Are you a male in that culture? Are you a female in that culture? How light is your skin tone? How dark is your skin tone? How many languages do you know? Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? There's so many things that are different about us. So we're bound to have different opinions, We're going to come to topics with a different approach. And more than anything, I just want us to be able to communicate about these things without this fear of being condemned, especially in the universities. I'm a returning student after quite a few years. I'm in my 30s. And I see the way that these younger generations, and even some people who are in the same age bracket as myself, and some people that are older, everybody is scared and they're silent, and there's the universities here in Canada, they're no longer a neutral place for critical thinking, where they bring people together to have debate and learn. It's, oh, you think this one way, and if you think this other way, canceled. That's it. And when I think about the career that I'm trying to aim for, the direction that I'm trying to go, as I'm learning, as I'm building up my life, learning my goals, etc., it's just, there's so many things that are so contradictory, and it's frustrating, and I find myself kind of lost, not sure how best to respond, what best to do moving forward. And so this is like an outlet, and also like a waving SOS sign to like find people who are willing to be brave and speak out and connect. You know, I make it a practice in my life, especially in these more current years, to not fully agree with anybody, even myself, because I recognize that I don't know everything. But I'm also not going to follow blindly. Yeah, you could take a guess of some of the topics that I plan on discussing just with that statement, but yeah. I also acknowledge that there's a lot of influence that I'm surrounded by. I'm vague right now, but I'll get into it in future videos. You'll understand, hopefully, if I do this process right. Okay, well, this introduction video is long enough. I hope you enjoy what's to come. And I hope I'll be able to connect. More than anything, I hope I'll be able to connect with like-minded people, and we'll gain some confidence to have those critical thinking discussions in order to move forward to a place where we can try to start finding solutions for the problems that we're dealing with today in society. Yeah, and hopefully not backtrack. However much I can reach out with this experimental channel, this particular channel, I have questions in particular, but with my kind right, where I'm getting to express myself artistically again, like I said, they're both linked in how I'll have these topics, I'll explore these topics. That side, it goes more into the research. This side opens up more of what questions I have and how I'm trying to approach finding the answers to these questions, basically. So yeah, hope you look forward to what is to come.